Jody Schwan started our hour, and we talked about a couple of big announcements. 41st and Ellis, Railroad Yard. Jesse Schmidt even wanted to jump in. Dave Osted was in Israel. He couldn't jump in, but Ryan did, and we talked about everything but that. So Ron Nelson Commercial Real Estate, is with us right now, and you went through a workout this morning to get ready for the show?
I go through my workout every day, Bill, but today I must have just pushed it a little too hard and got done all showered up and all that, looked at myself in the mirror, and my face looked like I just got off the bike or something. I just was red-faced and sweaty, and so it's like I'm not going out until I cool down here. So I thought, well, I'll just sit at the cafe, have a cup of coffee, compose my notes and thoughts, and do it in the comfort of the cafe here.
Well, let's talk about
why I didn't make it in studio today.
That's okay. We appreciate your advice and information that you give us every Friday. 41st and Ellis, Railroad Yard, two things that we've talked about already this morning. What would you tell us?
Well, I shouldn't probably make announcements to tease like I did. If you recall, what was it, a month and a half ago, I said an announcement's coming soon at 41st and Ellis, and we are kind of leading the charge to be the catalyst for kicking that project off. We're bringing the anchor tenant to that project. It's called Westtown Marketplace. It's a 25-acre project. I don't need to restate what Jody talked about and so forth, but clearly just kind of a new not rural, but on the edge of the city. As a matter of fact, in terms of the services, sewer-wise and so forth, it doesn't go much further west than that on that stretch of 41st Street. So that's kind of the end of the line for now with the services in terms of sewer and so forth. So excited to get this project going. There's been a lot of support for it. We're probably going to be announcing the anchor tenant here in the next, I don't know, month or two. They're still in the due diligence phase. So, like I said, I get a little ahead of myself sometimes in making these teases and announcements forthcoming. But obviously this group feels confident enough that the thing's going together that they wanted to get out in front and start talking about what the future that's going to be happening on that very prominent corner.
So, lots of changes this week, just the end of a chapter for the first quarter of the year. Anything surprise you with the projects that we've had announced, or, as you've kind of said, will be announced?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting time, and obviously I love being in this city in Sioux Falls because, on a national level, everybody's kind of got this black cloud that feels like is hanging over in terms of the economy, the next downturn, recession, whatever. And, here in Sioux Falls, half the time, I've been doing this business now, it's got a 3 in it. I started my anniversary of when I started in the business on a January 1. So I get excited each year when I start a new year and another notch in the belt, so to speak, on, more years in the business. But, with that, I've been through several of these, 3 or 4 of these significant dips. And, we've talked in earlier weeks about, just some of the signs that we see out there, a few, retailers going out of business, some of the properties in town as brokers, we get notices of, price reduction, and it's so, those are just a couple of the signs that, something's out there, but this town just has this can-do attitude, and many of these national recessions that have happened in years past, we just kind of read about them in Sioux Falls because it seems like we've missed them. And that's certainly our attitude now is just, something might be coming, but hey, we're full speed ahead. We're charging with downtown between the Sioux Steel project, the Railyard redevelopment, 41st Street, talk a little bit more about that. We just talked about 41st and Ellis, but certainly there's a lot of attention on 41st with, certainly the activity going on at the mall with a couple of the anchor stores closing, the Shopco now closing and all that. So, people sometimes ask me, well, geez, is 41st dead or is it, is it in trouble and all that? And, the answer is no. It just seems like sometimes these challenges come in bundles, so it gives us that illusion. So, I think talking about 41st and Ellis is one example of why 41st is absolutely still viable. Talk about another one, and this is kind of a teaser again. I'm contradicting what I said earlier, but we should probably have the lease signed tomorrow. But our sign at Nelson Commercial Real Estate has been in front of Plaza 41, which is a former grocery store at the corner of 41st and Kiwanis. And actually, I sold that probably 10 years ago and went through a couple of sales before it ended up in the hands of originally Don Dunham and his group. And they put together some interesting things, basically converting that center to a successful retail center. We heard earlier in the year about that. That center is home to the number one pizza ranch in the chain. We brought Boot Barn to that project, and so they added a new building there. And all the retailers there just seem to really do well, Bill. We put Tuesday morning in there, and we've had just a little slot left between Tuesday morning